Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new video on the channel. And today guys, I'm going to be reviewing every AFL 2023 preseason game. Alright, so the preseason games have just finished up, and if you did watch some of my round reviews last year or 3-game match reviews, you will know how these do generally work. Every team did play a practice match, and in today's video I'm going to be going over every single one of those games. Let's go ahead, start off with the first one. Hawthorn versus Collingwood started the official preseason games, University of Tasmania Stadium, Thursday afternoon. And it was Collingwood that won this game by 6 points in the end, despite a very good effort from a young Hawks outfit, managing to stay in the game for most of it, even though they trailed pretty much the whole thing. But they did manage to stay in the game and at least look a little bit impressive, a little bit classy in that sort of sense. You want to know some of the performing players. Mackenzie was in there, Newcomb was in there, Dacos was in there as well. But yes, it was a pretty good win there by the Pies, winning by 6 points. Next game was played out between Fremantle and Port Adelaide at Fremantle Oval. Fremantle got over the line by 31 points, which was a solid bounce back from their week prior. They did, again, lead this one pretty much the whole way through after a tight first couple of quarters. The third quarter is the quarter they got away. Port Adelaide did look like they might come and steal it late in the at the start of the last quarter, but in the end, Fremantle proved to be too good against some of the leading players on the ground. But yeah, Fremantle just too good in the end, which does put them back in the flag mantle name for this year. After their interesting trade period, but a 31-point win does see them being back to their best. Alright, Brisbane versus Geelong, a game played out between two premiership contenders of 2023. Teams will be right up towards the top end of the ladder at Brighton Homes Arena, a late starting time. Brisbane 13-13-91, got over Geelong 6-9-45. Geelong did have a couple of outs, but proving without some of their main players and against another opposition flag contender, not at GMHBA Stadium, they could look to struggle this year. The Lions got the kickstart in the first quarter, being up by 4 goals, and then that was just a trend slowly building on their lead, continued for the whole night. A pretty comfortable win. Will Ashcroft, Josh Dunkley looked at home in the Brisbane outfit, and I'm pretty sure Harris Andrews and Lachie Neale, both Brisbane co-captains, also looked to be right at home in their new roles for 2023. The Cats, this is a very disappointing performance. They play the Pies in round 1 and will definitely have to prove again that they are definitely a real flag contender. Still feel like they are, but this was a really interesting game between two real big, heavy flag favourites for this year's flag. Now on to the next game, St Kilda versus Essendon, RSEA Park, an earlier Friday afternoon game. St Kilda 10-7-67, got over the Bombers 3-14-32. Now the Bombers probably would have won this game had they kicked more straight. At 3-14 is not going to cut it, and this was probably one of the most boring games of the preseason. Whenever in quarter 1 and quarter 3 they had the breeze. However, just missing every single time. Must have been a bit of a breeze towards and across to make that wind. Why they must have been missing all their shots, because Saints were nailing them all down the other end. The second quarter was the quarter where the Saints had the breeze for the first time. They got on a run, and from there on, from halftime, they weren't going to be stopped, and they weren't stopped. It was a pretty comfortable win for the Saints, and this really does prove a point for the Saints this year. Sydney versus Carlton at Blacktown International Sports Park. Sydney 15-7-97 beat Carlton 7-12-54. After Carlton did put up a pretty good performance against Collingwood the week prior, and Sydney put up a disappointing one against Brisbane. The tables had flipped this week. It was Carlton putting up the disappointing performance, and Sydney putting up the good one. Sydney led this game pretty well comfortable for the entire contest. The Blues did show signs they might be able to create a fight back a little bit later on in the match. However, from when it was 50-8, it really did look like the Swans had them all comfortably put away. They did come back to a margin of about 20 points in a couple of numerous times in the game. However, the Swans did look like they had control the whole way through. Golden, he was absolutely golden in this match as well, proving that he's definitely going to be around for the Swans and in their core, one of their best players for a very long time. Plenty of fantasy points racked up in this game as well, as it was two really big, heavy, top 8, you'd be thinking, sides going head-to-head. However, in the end, Sydney really did bounce back from their heavy loss against Brisbane with a really good performance, which was definitely really important for them. Adelaide's young players seem to be getting the job done as well at the moment after their pretty comfortable win at Mineral Resources Park versus West Coast. West Coast 7-10-52, comfortably got beaten by the Adelaide Crows 17-9. 111, and the Adelaide Crows again got out to really big leads in that third and fourth quarter, winning by 59 points in the end, absolutely smashing West Coast by pretty much 10 goals. West Coast didn't really look in the game. They did have a couple of okay moments. They hung around in that first half for a little bit of time, but you really knew as soon as the Crows kicked a couple of goals in that third quarter that the game was well and truly over by then, even though it looked over at quarter time realistically. The Adelaide Crows proved they were much better. Their younger players looked to be really good. West Coast, they just couldn't implement the same game plan they had the week prior against Port Adelaide, which really did make them look aggressive. But yeah, this time they couldn't put any of that into practice, and the Adelaide Crows comfortably in all areas of the ground got over the top of them. Now to today's games. GWS 19-8-122 smash Gold Coast Suns 12-5-77 at Blacktown International Sports Park. Bit of a surprise this one, considering we all think Gold Coast might be able to make finals this year and might be in finals contention, and then we think the Giants are going to be down the bottom of the ladder. Well, this is interesting. This is really this could be a bit of a debate now as to whether they do or not, because the Giants actually played really well in this game. Third quarter is where they ran over the top of the Gold Coast Suns. Gold Coast kicking one behind, GWS kicking 7 goals. The Suns are disappointing in this game to say the least. The Suns in round 1 against the Swans do have to make a bit of a statement that they are still going to be able to contend for finals this year, because after a performance like this, it really does get you thinking about where teams might be at. And the Giants, well, will they finish on the bottom of the ladder? Well, we'll have to wait and see, because this could be interesting. The Giants just did have some pretty decent transition with their ball movement throughout this match. Alright, the Western Bulldogs continue quite a decent record against North Melbourne and Icon Park. Western Bulldogs 22-11, 143 smashed North Melbourne 13-7-85. It was a pretty comfortable win there for the Western Bulldogs after North Melbourne did give them a red-hot crack in the first quarter. However, from there on, they kicked 8 goals, I think. 8 goals in the second quarter to run away with it. You know it's over by half-time, and then they just keep on building on that lead throughout the rest of the game to run away with only a 58-point win in the end, despite North Melbourne making a bit of a mark in that last quarter, kicking 5 goals to 3. So, speaking completely honest, if you're North Melbourne, you've probably got to be lucky that the Dogs didn't run away 80-point winners, probably what they should have. However, in the end, though, the Western Bulldogs were the much better side, winning by 58, using a lot of their tool timber, but to show they can all play on the same side and do this much damage is not a bad sign for the Doggies at all. Alright, final game. Game just ended as well. Waited for it to end. Started this recording before the game ended. Most time-efficient way to work it out anyway. But Melbourne versus Richmond at Casey Fields looked to be a blockbuster game. I thought lots of these blockbuster matches, which were going to be really close. And I don't think any of these games turned out to be that close. And the games that I didn't think were going to be close actually did turn out to be close. So have a little look at that. But anyway, though, Melbourne versus Richmond. Melbourne 18-13, 121 smash Richmond 10-11-71. I do feel like that's interesting. Melbourne win by 50 points. They put their name forward as another flag contender for this year. And they had no trouble beating Richmond at all. Ever since quarter time, they just kept on building on this lead to win by 50 points in the end. And Richmond, well, that's disappointing for them. They've got some big-name recruits in their side, and they didn't really do anything this game, I don't think. They were definitely disappointing. Were the Tigers. Tim Taranto did do pretty well. Gawn was another one, and Grundy's probably going to be on there somewhere as well. But anyway, though, Melbourne by 50 in a pretty comfortable win for them. Alright, so there we go. The the official practice games are all over. Now our attention does turn to round 1, which I'll put that fixture up on the screen now. Here it is, plenty of big games in round 1, but that's going to be it for today's video. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Sending on them is another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much. Bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.